Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take the Black Live, a show where myself, Dan Selcke, and Cheryl Wassenaar, both of winterscoming.net, talk to you about all the latest Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, sci-fi, fantasy, genre news, hopping about in the world today. Cheryl, how are you?
I'm good, Dan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm still getting used to this new studio. We're in our new studio in the new fan-sided offices, all Targaryen black, and just seeming very, we're very private. We can yell as loud as we want. No one will bother us. I'm loving it.
I mean, more accurately, like, we're not going to bother anyone else when we have very strong opinions about things.
That's very true, yes.
Because I don't know if you know, Dan, but we have opinions.
And we will have them today. So I thought that because we... is anybody saying hello?
Oh, yes. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Tara. Hi, Christian. Hi, everyone else that's here. We're happy to see you, digitally speaking.
That's right. So I thought that because we had a break when we were moving from the old office to this new one, we just didn't have a show that week. I thought, and some big stuff happened that week, actually.
It's true.
I mean, it always does.
Yeah.
The news cycle for fantasy stuff that no one cares about is is never ending. I want to talk today about, like, okay, so when we were gone, we didn't have our show. A bunch of set photos, 'cause, you know, those always happen, broke from the set of Blood Moon, the Game of Thrones prequel show. And they were pretty big. Like, they were pretty like, okay, that's Naomi Watts in full costume. Okay, that's like them filming a scene on the lake, on the ocean, rather. I thought we could just go over, we could see what we missed. And now that the filming is over, they have finished filming the Game of Thrones prequel pilot.
It's a wrap.
Took like a month. Yeah, it's plenty of time. Still not sure if it's going to be a go. I still don't buy the things about why they didn't order to series, but I seem to be the only one, so I guess it's just me.
Don't worry, Dan. You'll be able to vent your frustrations about other things that HBO has ordered to series later in the show.
I'm not sure we're on the same page about that.
Oh,
but,
goodness.
We'll see.
Well, I will be able to vent about things that are...
Anyway,
Blood Moon. Let's talk Blood Moon.
Yeah, anyway, they finished the pilot, and there's some good behind-the-scenes stuff that we just missed and I want to talk about, including this scene of people out on the ocean off the coast of Gaeta, Italy, I don't know, being in a boat, in medieval costume, looking pretty good. I guess we can't really tar anything from this too much, but boats are featured, oceans are featured. You know, they're going to go for a level of verisimilitude and expense. It will be nice.
I mean, it kind of has a very kind of like long shippy
totally
kind
does,
of
yeah.
shape. I mean, without the sails or anything like that, but I do like that it seems like a much earlier form of boat or ship.
I didn't actually think about that. So you think that that's like the kind of thing that would be earlier, like a long ass rowboat or something?
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you look at the ships that are in Game of Thrones, they're pretty large and complex vessels.
Right.
And this is a lot smaller, doesn't really have a deck. Like,
yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, it's more, yeah.
I guess, like, I figured that was like a tiny boat going to a bigger boat or something.
Well, that could
but
be.
We don't know.
That could be. But the decor on the sides in particular has a very...
And there's definitely decor, like a little twirly gig at the end.
Yeah.
The mast. Whatever,
Yeah.
if that would be where the mast was.
That's not the mast. That's not how that works, Dan.
Aft. Most intriguingly, though, this sigil, the flag on the one end of it. Yeah, she blows.
There you go, Dan.
Yeah, so that sigil is kind of... So this is not one that we're familiar with. Apparently, they still have sigils thousands of years ago. At least the more powerful families might.
Sure.
It kind of looks like a... What do you think it looks like? I think that looks like a different... Like a lion, but not the Lannister lion, clearly.
Yeah.
I think it's like a sleeker kind of... maybe it's a puma.
Do they have pumas in Westeros?
They have lions. Why the hell not?
I mean, sure. Yeah, it looks to me like it's some kind of cross between, like, because it's just the head, so it kind of reminds me of the Stark head.
It does a little bit.
Head in shape, but it's very clearly got, like, a shorter snout.
Right.
So, yeah, I would go with maybe, like, a lioness,
Yeah.
I think.
It kind of looks like a Thundercats thing. remember
Oh
there was
my God, it
there was this show
does.
back when I was a kid that was like a Thundercat.
No,
and-
no, no, no. I too have seen Thundercats.
Mm-hmm.
Even if no one in our audience understands the reference, which if you don't, please look up Thundercats. You will not regret the experience. Yeah. Like, yeah, it does. It does
Yeah, a
look
little
like
bit.
yeah.
I'm guessing because just kind of the stuff that we've seen so far, I'm guessing that is a House Casterly sigil.
Yeah. That
Right.
seems
It's kind of
about right.
lion-ish. The
Yeah.
Lannisters take it over, they get a bigger lion. I feel like that's where we're going.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially since Casterly Rock is kind of
Oh, Gaeta is absolutely Casterly Rock. It's
Yeah.
like a big crack in the rock, and there's the
Yeah,
ocean. Yeah,
yeah.
you know, we still don't know a lot about the show, but I feel like they're clearly leading us to that. Land the Clever takes over the Casterly Rock from the Castlys. We are definitely getting that story. I will bet $100,000 on it.
okay, but you're not putting that $100,000 on Naomi Watts being Land the Clever just yet, right?
No, although, you know, at Con of Thrones, that theory was suggested by someone who wasn't me. So, like, that thing is not just, like, our pet theory. People are thinking that.
I'm so proud. You're a trendsetter.
Oh, I don't know
Dan.
if they got it from me. I'm just saying that,
Bask in the compliment. Bask in the compliment.
Speaking of Watts, we
Speaking
also
of.
got a photo of her in full costume. Okay, just go off. So obviously this isn't like a shot from the show. It's her like walking to stage. She's wearing sandals. I don't know if those are like her set shoes or just like the thing she wears before she puts on the whatever she's gonna wear for the scene. But what do you think of this Age of Heroes outfit?
That is certainly a costume,
That
isn't
is-
it? It's
it
so
lo-
shiny.
It looks more costumey than the kind of thing you see in Game of Thrones usually, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, oh, Julie's never heard of a Thundercat. I'm serious, Julie. Look up Thundercats.
Maybe in
You're not gonna
Australia.
regret it. Yeah, it like, ugh. I mean, it could just be the light, but yeah, it looks very. That color just is not doing anything for me.
Like head to toe gold. Like
Yeah.
it just seems it seems very costumey to me, like kind
Yeah.
of Halloween costumey. Now it might look incredibly different on film. That's
Sure.
that's very true. We have
Sure.
no idea what it looks like.
Oh.
But it almost looks space agey.
Yeah,
Like it's shimmery and shiny.
yeah. I don't know what's going on with that one.
I mean, obviously, I'm thinking. I don't think Michelle Clapton came over or anything. I assume they have a new costume designer.
Yeah.
And they will put their own stamp on this show.
Sure.
Whatever they want.
I mean,
How do they dress in ancient times?
I don't know.
Like that.
Julie wants to know, do we have any idea when Blood Moon is going to air? Nope.
Not a clue.
The
I
the
would-
long answer is they just finished filming the pilot, but that doesn't mean they won't have to go back and refilm the pilot.
It's true. That can happen.
Because that can happen. And also HBO has kind of a full schedule.
Man, they do these days, don't
Yeah,
they?
they do.
They just picked up Circe. Did you hear about this?
Yes, I
This
did.
Kind of Greek mythology reimagining thing.
I'm super excited. It was,
Yeah, I heard those books were great. Did you read them?
I don't think I've read it, but I've heard good things about it. So I'm
Although,
excited.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure because it's HBO Max that picked up. I don't know if that's HBO or if they're separate.
I mean, it's probably the same thing. Like it's going to be on HBO Max, which means it's going to be like a streaming exclusive, probably. But
Circe, a Greek mythology thing, not Circe the show, or it's the Circe Lannister show.
No.
Although I'd watch that too.
Nicole says she heard 2020 for Blood Moon, which is entirely possible. It would have to be late 2020.
Where'd you hear that?
She doesn't say. She just said I heard 2020.
Okay.
It would have to probably be late 2020.
I mean, remember, like, if they pick it up, they got to go and, like, shoot the other episode for the
Right.
first season.
And even
There's
if
still
it's
a ways to go.
even if it's like a 10 episode season, we've seen how long that can take.
Yeah, I have no
So,
idea if they've written them already or what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's up in the air. But, you know, they have some ideas, and I am curious, especially with that outfit, to see where it goes. Casey Blaze also just said, just as a note, that there are still one or two other prequel scripts floating around,
I know.
but we're going to see what happens with this one, which is the right call.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And will the backlash to the final season shape the prequel? Not at all, which also makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's probably wise. Diane wants to know if we have any idea when we're going to hear if they're going to go ahead with Blood Moon. Also, no.
Not a clue.
I mean,
We'll hear when HBO is good and ready.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I suspect that we would hear pretty soon, like after they, like we will probably either hear if there are reshoots, extensive reshoots, I should say. I would say
Which they were on the Game of Thrones pilot.
yes. I would say pretty soon, like not. There's this like time period in like August and September where not much is going to be going on with HBO, so maybe we'll hear something. We might even hear as late as like the Winter Television Critics Association. Like it's really up in the air. Oh, Nicole is like, I would assume the end of 2020. I can't remember specifically where I read it at this point. That's okay, Nicole. I have the same problem.
Yeah, I don't remember anything.
Yeah. But yeah, towards the end of 2020, maybe early 2021, if it gets picked up in a timely fashion.
And you're right that between now and then, HBO has tons of coming out. They got Around the Corner, Who's Got Materials, and Watchmen. Beyond that, they just picked up the Cersei show. They have, as we'll talk about later, The Nevers. They have Demimon. They have a lot of stuff.
Lovecraft Country.
Oh, Lovecraft Country. Yeah.
Like the only one of those I'm super excited for.
I'm pretty excited for Start Materials. I think they could do a good job with that.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, of the shows that we kind of don't know when are airing just yet. Like Lovecraft Country is up there for me.
And also, everyone else is scrambling to keep up, including AMC, who showed off a preview of their second spin-off to The Walking Dead. And, you know, this fascinates me because, like, okay, let's just watch this little teaser for the second Walking Dead spin-off, and then I can rip it a little bit.
Okay, let's go.
What if you grew up in a world of safety?
And you decided to leave.
To discover the truth of who you are and what the world really is. You know, growing up.
There have been things going on in the Walking Dead universe since the very start of the story.
All happening over all these years.
In other places we haven't seen.
With people we haven't seen. With the dead we haven't seen.
But we'll see it all this spring.
A new world of the Walking Dead.
Okay. So basically, AMC making a third Walking Dead show. It's going to be about kids, teenagers. Got to get that youth market. Got to get it. Which I get. Well, you do. Okay. What fascinates me about The Walking Dead is this.
Okay.
Like, all the indicators are that this series is kind of declining in popularity. That not as many people watch it. That's basically it. Not as many people watch as used to. Like, the ratings have gone way down. But they keep expanding it. They keep making new shows.
They keep trying.
And as the original show is kind of, you know, it's bleeding cast members. It's losing people, like the main cast members. I think Andrew Lincoln left, and I don't know how to pronounce her name.
Denai Guerra.
Yes, left, plays Michonne. They're all leaving. The show is kind of, it's still going on. But it's like a house that's falling in on itself, and you're like, let's build an addition.
Yeah.
I just don't get
Totally
it.
fine.
It just must be, even in its reduced state, profitable enough to warrant this, or else it's just a really bad decision making. One of those two.
I mean, why not both? Before I start my very truncated Walking Dead screed, Kyle says, I love the idea of Naomi's character being Gartha Greenhand's daughter, Floris the Fox, with a connection to Lan the Clever. She was said to be the cleverest of his three daughters. Diane adds, and she has three families with three husbands that are unaware of each other. And then Kyle is like, that could be the dark secret she is hiding, referring to Naomi Watts.
That actually makes, I've heard that one. That is a little more consistent with, like, if we're not going to go with Jennifer Step on the Lan the Clever.
Yeah.
That is a character that could go with a socialite with a dark secret.
Yeah.
Because she also has a history in George R. Martin stuff.
Yeah.
I can see that too. And that'll be pretty fine. She's Lan the Clever's mother, isn't it?
I don't know off the top of my head,
Neither do I. I'm sorry. You guys probably do.
You guys probably do, but I can't look it up on this.
But yeah, I have heard that as Floris the Fox, which I would also be cool with.
Yeah. 2, answer Nicole's question. Am I the only one who cares about zombies? Who doesn't care about zombies? No. Okay. Like, I actually watched The Walking Dead for the first,
The whole thing?
No.
No.
I quit in, like 4 seasons or so in.
That's about where I quit, too.
And because I remember Rick burying a gun at the farm at the jail, and I said, "What? Stop. This needs to stop. Everything about this needs to stop." And then I watched the episode where Negan kills Glenn.
Right.
Because my mom was still into the show at the time, and I was like, "Oh, I'm really glad I quit." So to bring it back to the thing that we just watched,
Yes.
I like, it just seems so unnecessary. Like, especially because with Fear the Walking Dead's track record, where it took a couple seasons to even find its feet, I don't understand why there needs to be another Walking Dead show so that it can basically be Walking Dead year-round at this point.
I think, in answer to Nicole's question, I think you're not the only one who doesn't care about zombies.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to figure out how there's a lot of people who don't care, but they're still kind of making... Someone in that trailer even says parts of the Walking Dead universe. That terrifies me.
Yeah, that gave me some palpitations.
You know, I will say this for HBO. I know they get some flack sometimes, but no one has mentioned a Thrones universe yet.
No.
Like, and I'm thankful for that. I really do like that they are taking this one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that, because I mean, I said this before. If AMC had Game of Thrones, those 5 prequel scripts, there would be 2 on the air already, and another coming.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Oh, okay. Diane confirmed that yes, he's illegitimate.
Of course.
And Flores the Fox is his mother, but he's illegitimate.
Cool.
Was I forced to watch the episode of The Walking Dead? Kinda.
Yeah, for Fansided, they wanted us to, and I watched like all the way through after Negan killed Glenn. And I mean, like, it was okay, but it didn't hold my interest for...
Okay, the first season, before
I did
it
watch
got
that myself.
extended, like extended seasons, the first season of The Walking Dead is some really tight cinematic, like, it's really good. It's really good. And then things happened.
And
So, like, I can... Especially because, like, Better Call Saul really hasn't broken into the mainstream quite as much as Breaking Bad did in its later years. I can see why they're going back to The Walking Dead as this, like, long-lived property that can still get some interest because it's going for a genre that doesn't always get the best representation on television and horror. I mean, because American Horror Story is not horror anymore.
if it barely ever was.
It was scary in the first season.
Okay.
And so, like, I think there's some merit in continuing to do this, but the fact that it's all coming at once is kind of oversaturating the market, I think. And also, children just kind of seem exploitative, but that's just me.
A little. I mean, Game of Thrones is succeeded with it. Made stars out of Maisie Williams and Sophie Turner and folk.
I mean, but they weren't, like, the focus.
It's true. I titled it Raise the Walking Dead. I'm trying to think of like a title to go with it. Fear the Walking Dead, Raise the Walking Dead, because they're kids. But we'll see. I don't like it. I hope it goes away. It seems exploitative and weird and too much. But we'll have to see what happens.
Speaking of weird and too much, let us now talk about The Nevers.
Okay, so I want to talk about this because it's another HBO show.
Yes.
You know, HBO is readying this really like huge lineup of fantasy and sci-fi shows. This is one of them, and this is one of them we actually hadn't heard about in a while. Like, it was announced, like, Joss Whedon, the guy behind Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, Dollhouse, the first 2 Avengers movies, pretty long list of accomplishments, is making a new HBO show called The Nevers. And he is making it, by the way. He is writing, directing, executive producing, show running. Like, he's in on this.
I know.
In the way he has not been on the show for a very long time.
I know.
He kind of, like, disappeared after Age of Ultron for a while. I think he, like, burned out hard. But he's back. And it is about, I think he wrote on this, an epic science fiction drama about a gang of Victorian women who find themselves with unusual abilities, relentless enemies, and a mission that might change the world. Which, yes, does basically sound... Go ahead.
that's like mainline Joss. I just want to say that I didn't write that. That was the description that was given in the stories about the cast announcement. That's not me. That is what HBO has put into the world about this.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot like, gives serious Buffy vibes.
Yeah.
You know, women struggling against but period, like you wrote down here.
Yeah.
I don't find anything inherently objectionable about the idea. I guess I wonder, now that he's been away from TV for a while, he went through a little cheating scandal, got kind of me-wonned for a minute, and now he is back with TV. Are we ready to, because I love Joss Whedon's early work. I grew up on Buffy, I grew up on Angel, Firefly, take or leave. I love that stuff. So I am intrigued by him making a mark again, but I'm guessing that you are not you're not on Joss Whedon's hype train. What is it about the idea of Victorian fantasy superhero thing that...
It's not that I don't... I'm not on the Joss Whedon hype train because I think that TV storytelling has kind of left him behind in a lot of ways. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel had a pretty decent influence, especially in genre television, for what kinds of stories could be told, who could be the leads of those stories, so on and so forth. But then you get to something like Age of Ultron, and it's like, it's still Joss Whedon's signature with the snappy dialogue and all of that, but it also comes with some really dumb decisions. I will die mad about Bruce and Natasha. I'm going to die mad about it.
I just think part of the reason he burned out with, and this again, I read this back in the day, was that he could have been the guy to direct, like, you know, Civil War and Infinity War, but he didn't want to do it after Age of Ultron because it was, like, he didn't like having to bow to the studio pressure of change this plot line, do this, do that, do that. So that is the reason he left that. I think it's hard to... I'm sure there's great dissertation sometime in what happened and how much of that is, you know, influence. The Russos managed to navigate whatever that was really effectively, obviously, and have, like, made a career out of it. But Whedon didn't, and now he's coming back to TV. I mean, it does sound a bit like, you know, stuff he's done.
Right.
You know, the thing with Joss Whedon is, like you said, like, snappy dialogue. Like, all the characters kind of tend to talk in the same sort of way, where they sort of kind of blend a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm cautiously excited. I mean, again, I've been a fan of his work from kind of when I was a little kid and kind of got super into Buffy back in the day. I'd be curious to see what he could do with, you know, kind of carte blanche, knowing that he does have his hang-ups and his habits,
right,
and his patterns. Yeah. And they ordered this series, but they didn't order Blood Moon series. Just saying.
Yeah, that was a choice that was made. And with the announcement of this cast, which is very large.
It's a big cast, like 12 people.
Yeah, including Eleanor Tomlinson of Poldark, which is great. She needs to get more work. She's a great actress. I love her so much.
I'm a big fan of Olivia Williams from Dollhouse. She was really, really talented on that. I was one of, like, 8 people who watched that back in the day. That was Joss Whedon's other show.
It's true. Yeah, a lot of different characters, all kinds of stuff. What character descriptions? Like, I've burned these character descriptions from my memory.
He definitely wrote these.
He definitely wrote these guys. Like, I do remember the pansexual posh boy whose charm is like 5 years from its
left on its lease.
And it's
these weren't written by a like kind of PR drone. These were definitely Joss Whedon having a hand in this.
Yes.
Hugo Swan, a pansexual posh boy whose charm has about 5 years left on its lease. Yeah, that's a little Joss Whedon turn of phrase there. But I mean, it's not bad. So there's a little wordplay and a little bit of, like, twisty back and forth. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
I'm not saying that there's anything inherently wrong with that. I'm more just saying we're at, like, critical mass of Joss Whedon, and these are just the character descriptions. I don't know how this is going to especially with a period setting like this.
Right.
I'm a little concerned.
They're not going to talk like Victorian people.
No,
just
they're not. They're not.
I mean, they're not going to use pop culture references, but they are going to talk in a snappy, quick way.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like Joss Whedon has gone through kind of a critical reevaluation over the past, 5 years. I think, people were high on him for a while.
Yeah.
We're definitely in a down period.
Yes.
But I can't help it. These things, got into my system pretty early, and I do have, I want him to do well, and I'm curious about this. But, part of it is, if you watch a Joss Whedon thing, you're going to get a Joss Whedon thing.
Yeah.
But, and again, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You're not going to go for him for history.
Yeah.
You know?
And yet here we are with a Victorian show.
A Victorian superhero show.
Yeah. Louise is like, I just looked up the list of actors, and as a Brit, I'm interested. That's very fair. That's a really strong cast. I'm not disagreeing with the premise. I'm not disagreeing with the casting. I am just disagreeing with how much Joss Whedon we are about to get.
Kind of the arch quality to
Yeah,
everything he writes.
yeah. That sort of thing. And I'm speaking as someone who discovered Buffy after it went off the air because of age things.
Sure.
I'm a child.
I'm old! We get it.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it, Dan. But yeah, it and as I got older, especially, I was like, well, yeah, but we can do better at this point. I would love to see more newcomers or kind of more
Sure.
indie projects, or even, kind of Jordan Peele counts in this respect, I guess, a little bit.
And there are projects like that.
Yeah.
There also got to be Who Fears Death
I
on
know.
HBO. Which I don't know her name, but it's a new kind of sci-fi author. Who
Nnedi Okorafor.
Oh, perfect. We got Jane Goldman, who's
Exactly.
not a newcomer, but I think it's fine if they and they also have J.J. Abrams doing Demi-Monde, which apparently isn't going anywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm okay with the mix.
Yeah, I'm okay with the mix. I just this is a lot of Joss Whedon, and I would like Joss Whedon 2.0 at this point.
Perhaps get him a co-showrunner or something.
Yeah, somebody to rein him in a little.
Okay, well, I'm curious to see what happens, but as we don't know anything yet, except for the cast, which is 12 strong and full of British people with witty descriptions.
Yes.
Any other thoughts before we bring in our own Josh Hill?
No. Hi Jen. I'm sorry you came late. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this here for Josh Hill.
We'll have a brief commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Bye everyone.
We are right. Yes. And we're back. I'm here with fan-sided editorial ubermensch Josh Hill.
That's right.
Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Although this is the first time we've spoken since we went at it about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's true. We didn't really
That was
speak.
Monday. We
We did.
We sit next to each other, so
we
kind of across from each other, but
It's a million miles away in that office. We did. We had a roundtable once a time in Hollywood, which I did not super duper enjoy. Do you have any thoughts about that really quickly before we get into A Song of Dan and Josh? For the
I
day?
don't. We'll save that for another time. But
If you want to read our ramblings, go to fansided.com. We had a whole roundtable about Quentin Tarantino's latest film, the 9th movie by Quentin Tarantino. I never got that. The 8th movie, the 9th, 7th movie. You just...
it's all in the marketing.
I know. It's branding. Who keeps count? It's stupid.
He does. Apparently.
Clearly. Miramax
Very
does.
closely.
Anyway, we're here to talk about A Clash of Kings as part of our ongoing series, A Song of Dan and Josh, the show where myself and Josh Hill, who's never read the books, I have read the books, go through each and every chapter of George R.R. Martin's as-hit unfinished magnum opus, breaking them down, seeing what makes them tick. And today we read Arya 5.
We did.
Which is another entry in her ongoing journey. She's left King's Landing. She's on her way to Winterfell, but that's gone super, super south. She is trying to make her way with Gendry, Hot Pie, Lamy, and Weasel.
Yes.
Lamy and Weasel didn't really feature too big in the show.
No.
Lamy was there. Weasel was not.
Okay.
Lamy dies. That's remember the scene where Arya and the Hound are in the bar and the Hound's eating some chicken, and
I do.
Arya
Yes, I do.
stabs a guy in the throat with a needle. That's revenge for Lamy's death.
Oh.
And he dies here too, in much the same way.
Yes.
So yeah, he's in there. Weasel is like this kind of feral child who was clearly scarred by war and just like kind of hanging out of them just out of instinct. They cut her.
Yeah, well, as you do, apparently.
Yeah, not terribly important. But anyway, this is another in kind of Arya's road trip thing. She has a lot of road trips in this series until she settles down in Bravos. I think it starts up pretty strongly, so they're kind of wandering, her and Gendry and Hot Pie and Lamy and Weasel. And the land is just scorched. If it could burn, the Lannisters had burned it. If it could die, they'd killed it. And we top it off. We start off with like some really just images of more of just this war-torn country. Because, you know, we're going from the city, King's Landing, where it's more or less, they're more or less safe behind the walls. And things are, you can tell things are happening. Like, the peasants are revolting and Joffrey's going out in his tank to fight them like an idiot. But, like, Sansa's more or less safe to, like, the thick of it, where she's just wandering through the scorched countryside. Sir Aemmy Lorch had given no more thought to burying his own dead than to those he had murdered, and the corpses of 4 Lannister men-at-arms were heaped near Yoren. She goes back and finds Yoren. They go back into the town to find their old compatriots who died in the last battle. Anything stand out for you this chapter, Josh?
Well, Arya being figured out by Gendry, who figured out that
that's pretty good.
That she's a girl, and then she cops her identity to him. So that was a little fun. And also, because I'm thinking, it's hard to disassociate the book and the show.
Yeah.
Even though we definitely, as everybody knows, don't have George R.R. Martin's up-to-date version of how things ended.
Sure.
With the show. So it was just kind of cool to connect those two things, where it's like they eventually have their little hookup moment, and then Gendry proposes and gets shut down rather significantly. But to kind of go back to this, even though that didn't happen in the books, to go back to this moment and kind of be like, this is the beginning of a weird budding romance where Gendry figures her out and she like immediately cops who she is, even though it has nothing to do with it in the mind of George R. R. Martin at the time. It's hard to separate those two, knowing where those two characters eventually go in one of the two mediums that you're following the story.
I mean, like, there's definitely some sparks, even on the page, between Gendry and Arya. Like, he's laughing as she, tries to push him around. I also like that she briefly considers killing him.
I mean, it's Arya. What do you expect, of course?
When he figures it out, like, oh, God, should I just kill him so he can't tell anybody? She could draw a needle and kill him where he stood, or else trust him. That's her option. She wasn't certain she'd be able to kill him, even if she tried. He had his own sword, and he was a lot stronger. All that was left was the truth. So it's like she admitted herself to him just because she couldn't kill him, which is, you're right, it's a really Arya thing to do.
It is, but it's like it's as rom-com as an Arya storyline can get, which is, oh, he knows my name, I have to knife him in the throat now because he knows me. But she does come clean, you're right.
She does. And thus begins a ship to sail around the world, or something. Like, a lot of folk are way into them. It's much the same on the show. Like, he finds out.
Yeah.
But, you see, he knew that she was a girl. He didn't know that she was highborn. Mm-mm. So after that's when he gets nervous. Mm-hmm. He starts calling her "milady" and thinking, like, I shouldn't have said all that. I shouldn't have said all that about Cox. Sorry, that was inappropriate. She's like, stop calling me milady. It's there's some tension.
It's like a weird inverted rom-com thing where it's like he's all nervous around her once he finds out who she is, and she's like, oh, don't treat me right. I don't want to be treated right. I'm just another soldier.
I also like this bit where Martin, Gendry always looked pained when he tried to think. Like it hurt him something fierce. That happens a couple of times.
That was an odd flex by George R. R. Martin. It's just like, all right.
And apparently he's not a thinker.
Apparently not. And that is one way. I read that and I'm like trying to think of people in my life that I've known where I can apply that to, where it's like, okay, that makes sense. They literally look like they're in pain right now because they're trying to put together some kind of coherent thought. But
it's not all low style rom-com stylings.
No.
So part of the thing that they're talking about here, Gendry and Arya, is Gendry suggests, look, we should leave the others. Hot Pie, Lami, Weasel, they're all useless. Like, Lami is this other kid. He's, like, in a stretcher because he got his leg wounded, I think, at the battle. Weasel's a failed child. And Hot Pie, his heart's in the right place, but he can't really fight. He can't really scout.
Yeah.
And so, and at the start of this chapter, they recount how they were traveling with some other people. They were traveling with like a scout, like a woodsman, and someone else, but they abandoned them. And Arya's like, I mean, of course they did. Like, it's much easier for them to get around without dragging us around, and this guy's in a stretcher, and what can we do? We don't know anything. And Gendry just suggests, like, look, we should ditch these people.
Yeah.
They're not helping. You can do stuff. You're the only, and that's what comes out, like, you're the only useful one, even though you're a girl. She's like, what? Blah, blah, blah. Which she is. Like, at the beginning, she's like, she climbs a tree and scouts out the rest of the thing. She can sneak into the town later. She is good at this.
She is. And also, I do like that the way it was kind of brought up, because Arya is one of the smartest characters. She is always one step ahead of everybody, it seems. And this is, I love the instances where characters get caught and they're not all of a sudden not 4 or 5 steps ahead, where it's like, I think I'm so much smarter than everybody else, and then somebody immediately calls them and it's like, no, you're not. It's just a weird, humbling thing, even though it's something that's, I wouldn't say insignificant, but not like a huge plot thing. It's like he finds out that she's her. But just the fact that she kind of got a one-up on her when she's always the one that's like, it's this pride about her, and he's just
And
like,
when
oh, yeah,
it
you're a
pains
girl.
him to think.
Yeah.
And even he figured it out.
That's true.
My question to you, though, is what should they have done? So should they have left and struck it on their own? Because, again, this is war-torn country.
Yeah.
Danger everywhere. They have a better chance of living if they leave on their own. Lami keeps saying, we have to yield over and over and over. That's his, refrain here. He wants to give themselves up, to go to the soldiers and say, we yield, let us go, we're not trying to fight anybody, we yield. Gendry's like, no, says knights and lordlings, they take each other captive and pay ransoms, but they don't care if the likes of you yield or not. And of course, at the end of the chapter, when it's kind of a horrible moment when they find Lami and Hot Pie, Lami tries to yield and says, we yield, we're fine. Because on a stretcher, he's like, you'll have to carry me. The soldier's like, we'll have to carry you, really, and just kills him.
He's like, that's what you think.
I think the last line is the soldier going like, carry him, he says, chuckling.
Chuckling as he
Yeah,
just
chuckling, that's the
said.
last
I know.
word.
I mean, I remember. It reminded me, the whole decision reminded me of the classic 1999 sci-fi film Galaxy Quest, in which
Wasn't sure where you were going with that.
never give up, never surrender. So that you never give up, never surrender. Don't ever yield, as we found. That's obviously not the route to go here.
No.
Especially it highlights that these characters, again, as smart as Arya is and as smart as everybody thinks that they are, rarely is the right decision ever made. Like, we go back to the first book,
They're
and we're
hard
talking
decisions
about
to make,
Ned and how Ned is making the right decisions. Every single one's textbook. This is what you should do if you're the hero, if you're the good guy in the story. Do this, and he gets his head chopped off for it. And that kind of continues into this book now too, where Arya and Gendry and all these other characters that we've got inside their heads of think that they're doing the right thing, and it's just this internal struggle of something as simple as yielding, which seems innocent enough, ends with what happened to Lami.
Yeah.
And running doesn't seem like it's a good idea either.
Well, I was going to ask, so do you think they should have abandoned them? Do you think Arya and Gendry should have struck it on their own?
I
Because
think they
that-
should have. I don't think that they're capable of doing that. 'Cause
Gendry seemed ready to do it. Arya was the one who was pushing back.
And that's the thing, because Arya is much more hard than Gendry is, and the fact that she wouldn't leave says a lot.
Sure.
And because at her core, she's a good character. Like, she at one point can think, "Oh no, he figured out who I am. I gotta kill him." But at the same time, that's
But she
not
doesn't.
really who. And that's not really who she is. To the point where she's not going to abandon these people because because it benefits her to go on the lam with Gendry.
Right.
She's not going to leave anybody behind.
She is ride or die.
She is ride or die, which is also what Tim Allen did in Galaxy Quest. Never give up, never surrender.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah, I remember. People like it. I thought you were going to say The Matrix. Wasn't that 99?
It was.
Okay. Whatever. Another good moment is when Gendry is captured. They're all captured at the end. Gendry's captured. And again, Arya doesn't abandon him. She goes and tries to save him. She takes Hot Pie.
Yep.
And, of course, Hot Pie gets freaked out like I think like a crow brushes against him. And this is like one of those funny moments, like in the midst of all this horror. Like there's actually a really horrible description of they're crawling under these naked people who are hung up on a gibbet, which is a gallows. I learned vocabulary. They did not look like naked people. They hardly looked like people at all. The crows had eaten their eyes and sometimes their faces. Of the 6 in the long row, nothing remained but a single leg, still tangled in its chains, swaying with each breeze. So they're crawling under that to like go free Gendry. And a crow lands near Hot Pie, and he just shoots up and just yells, "Yield!"
I've never related with a book character more than I did in that moment, where I was like, "That's me.
Really?
I'm yielding immediately as the crow brushes past
Can
me."
you like see the visual? Like it's not just he yields up. He yields up like, and it's like into the underside of a naked, brutal body, like going, "Are you?" And that didn't make it into the show, obviously, but it's this weird mix of like, this is horrific. They're crawling under dead bodies to like save their friend who was going to be killed. But it's kind of funny too.
It is funny. Well, I mean, we talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's funny moments in that too. But I mean, there's instances in which something grotesque can be funny.
Yeah.
Probably because it is so grotesque that you're looking for that payoff. You're looking for that relief to be like, oh, okay. And that's what that was. Because if it's just that, it's like this really... Because the mood was set. Like, the scene was there. Like, we understand that this is this terrible thing. And it's the unexpected break in unexpected humor that makes it even better. Like, it's not that funny of a concept unless you have it play out that way. Then you're like, oh, because most of it's relief. You're like, oh, okay, the quick break from this terrible bodies hanging in chains and crawling under them to save Gendry.
You know, what I would say is that unlike Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the humor here just came from the reality of the absurdity of the situation.
That's true.
Where it's just that weird, whereas Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it was just contrived nonsense. I didn't really like it. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to touch on, I liked this one bit where they're walking along the riverbank and Arya sees some swans. Just like hanging out. No one had told them that war had come, and they cared nothing for burning towns and butchered men. She stared at them with yearning. Part of her wanted to be a swan, the other part wanted to eat one, which is another kind of funny bit.
Yep.
But again, I really like that, like the really kind of beautiful lyrical thing where I want to be a swan because they don't know what war is. Also, I'm hungry as hell.
It probably
I'd
tastes
like
good.
I'd like to eat that bird.
Does it taste like chicken? I don't know. We're not going to find out.
You ever had swan?
So. I haven't. No, I'm having it for dinner tonight though. So I'll let you guys know next week what swan tastes like.
All right. I think we can probably tune in next week to see how Josh Hill enjoyed swan.
Fried swan. Yeah. What's our next chapter?
Tyrion chapter.
I do like the
I don't know
Tyrion
what number
chapters.
is. Yeah, there's a lot of them in this one. He's kind of if like Ned Stark was the main dude for the first one, Tyrion is point man.
I like
Clash of
it.
Kings. Do we have any questions or comments about any of this?
We don't, but Julie says hi.
Oh,
So hi, Julie.
all right. I'll see you
Bye,
next
Julie.
week. Yes. Goodbye. Next week for more Song of Ben and Josh, more Song of Fire, Game of Thrones, fantasy, sci-fi, genre news. Thanks for watching, everybody. Adios.